South Africa has taken the decisive step of declaring Israel's chargé d'affaires Ariel Sideman persona non grata, giving him 72 hours to leave the country. DIRCO says the decision follows repeated violations of diplomatic norms. Joining us this afternoon is Mr. Chrispin Phiri, who is the ministry spokesperson. Mr. Chrispin, thank you very much for your time and welcome to Radio Islam International.
Thank you very much for having me, and salam alaikum to our listeners on Radio Islam International.
It's a pleasure indeed. So, Mr. Crispin, South Africa has taken this decisive step of declaring Israel's chargé d'affaires persona non grata. From Pretoria's perspective, what principle is South Africa asserting with this move?
We are protecting our sovereignty. You would have seen that the Israeli embassy, and one of the things we state in the statement that we have issued, is that the Israeli embassy have acted in a manner that is really undiplomatic by inviting Israeli officials into the country without informing DIRCO, and subsequently having purported visits to other state officials or state actors or also non-state actors. This has caused great concern. And secondly, what we've also seen as problematic is the conduct of the Israeli embassy on social media on a platform called X. We would have seen there a number of insults directed at the former minister, amongst others, unwarranted conduct or comments on domestic matters, and also attacks on the state president as well, insults to the state president. So this is all a culmination of undiplomatic conduct that we have taken note of, that we have also raised directly with the chargé in question, and had hoped that he would realign his actions and ensure that he acts in a diplomatic manner. But we unfortunately have not seen that. And we are left with this decision to invoke Article 9 of the Vienna Convention and ensure that the individuals that are sent here to represent their capitals do so in a manner that is respectful and in a manner that builds diplomacy.
DIRCO cites repeated violations of diplomatic norms. Why was it important for South Africa to draw a clear line rather than tolerate this behavior?
Because ultimately it cannot be that a country or any country, South Africa, let me start here. South Africa actually has a very high representation of the diplomatic community, one of the highest in the world. I think second to Washington, the number of embassies that are in Pretoria. So, and all of these embassies comply with the norms and diplomatic practices that we all comply with in the international community. So, if you have one actor deciding to do their own thing and undermine our diplomatic relations, undermine our relationship, and ultimately undermine our sovereignty, we have to be very clear that that is something we will not tolerate. And that's why we drew a line in the sand, so to speak.
Now, Israel has reportedly responded by giving South Africa's senior diplomat 72 hours to leave. Does this reciprocal move change South Africa's position in any way?
It doesn't change our position in any way. In fact, it's a bizarre approach because Mr. Benefeld is not the ambassador to Israel. He's the ambassador to Palestine, the state of Palestine. He is based in Ramallah, and that is where our mission is based, and that is where we provide diplomatic services in Ramallah. So, it really shows you actually how obstructive Israel is to the statehood of Palestine. The fact that they feel they can just eject an ambassador who is based in Ramallah as a form of so-called retaliation really, really shows you how deep the problem is and how obstructionist Israel is in the statehood of Palestine.
Some argue that diplomatic expulsions escalate tensions. Why does South Africa believe accountability and diplomatic discipline are more important in this case?
Precisely because we must be clear around the terms upon which we will be engaged and which we want to engage. And these are instruments that are available to us in terms of the Vienna Convention. We've seen other countries use them for far less issues. So the fact that we are invoking this instrument, we are entitled to do so. And we do it because we believe these are very, very grave actions that undermine our diplomatic relationship with Israel. We are not shutting the door on diplomacy. We believe that diplomacy is very important, but the manner in which it's going to be done must be cooperative and not what we are seeing from the Israeli embassy.
Hmm. What message is South Africa sending to the international community by taking such a firm stance, even in the face of retaliation?
We will not tolerate any form of undermining our sovereignty, and we will not tolerate any form of disrespect. I don't think any self respecting country will lie down whilst their president is being insulted by an embassy official in public platforms. I think there's no country, any self respecting country, who would tolerate that.
Hmm. Finally, what reassurance can be given to South Africans that this decision was taken from a position of sovereignty and principle and not political pressure or intimidation?
Well, absent that, I mean, if we didn't take this decision, it means we would be tolerating what we have seen the Israeli embassy doing in the country, but also it will be tolerating insults. So this was a necessary step, and it was taken after a considerable amount of time. We had numerous engagements with the Israeli authorities, and we would have hoped that this message would have reached Tel Aviv, the headquarters, the capital, and to date, we've not received any response. We've only response we've seen purportedly on social media platforms is this purported removal of Ambassador Benefel from Palestine. But we have
Mm.
been engaging about their conduct, and ultimately, you can only engage so many times until you have to show that we are serious about our sovereignty and we are determined to protect our nation.
Mr. Chrispin, thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated on Radio Islam International.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Bye bye. Yes, that was the ministry spokesperson chatting to us about the latest development there.